A real mother teaches respect, honesty, and responsibility. I did that. If Michael didn't learn, that's not my failure, it's his. I turned and walked toward the utility room. Behind me, chaos erupted, Linda sobbing hysterically, Mrs. Beatrice shouting, Mr. Arnold demanding explanations, Michael trying desperately to calm them all. I closed the door and leaned against it, shaking. It had been the hardest confrontation of my life, and the most necessary. And it was only the beginning. That night, around 11, loud knocking shook the door. "Mom, open up. We need to talk." It was Michael. I didn't open it. "Mom, please." Linda's very upset. "The doctor says she can't get stressed for the baby." "What do you want me to do?" I replied through the door. "Beg for forgiveness? Cry? Tell me what you want, and I'll do it, but please don't take the house from us." I opened the door abruptly. Michael stood there disheveled, eyes red, shirt wrinkled. For the first time, I didn't feel pity. I felt disappointment. "Michael," I said calmly, "listen carefully. I never wanted to take anything from you. I gave you the house out of love. I gave you money out of generosity. I gave you space for family." "I know, Mom," he whispered. "But you humiliated me. You robbed me. You lied. And when I came home broken from my sister's funeral, you threw me out. It was Linda's mistake. You knew," I raised my voice. "And you did nothing. You shut the door in my face." "She's my wife," he said weakly. "I had to support her." "And what am I?" I asked. "Trash? Something to throw away?" Michael dropped to his knees, sobbing. "Forgive me, Mom. I was a coward. Please, don't leave us on the street." I looked at him kneeling there and felt clarity settle in. "I'm not leaving you on the street," I said. "But things are changing. Tomorrow, you come with me to Mr. Henderson's office. We will sign a contract with clear rules. Anything you say," he nodded frantically. "And every dollar Linda spent will be paid back. Every single one." "Yes," he whispered. I closed the door. That night, I slept peacefully for the first time in days. I had won the first battle, but the war was far from over. The next morning, Michael arrived at the lawyer's office on time, but not alone. Linda clung to his arm, wearing dark sunglasses and clutching a handkerchief, ready for drama. When she saw me, she froze. "She's coming," she whispered. "Yes," Michael replied tiredly. "And so is her lawyer. And her money." Mr. Henderson began calmly. "Mrs. Emily Rodriguez is the sole owner of the house." Linda ripped off her glasses. "That's impossible." "The law doesn't care what you were told," the lawyer said firmly. "It's my house too." Linda shrieked. "No, madam. Not 1 inch." He continued through the bank withdrawals, the furniture sale. $800, Michael admitted quietly. 800. I whispered. "For my mother's furniture?" "They were antiques." I shouted. "That's why they were valuable." "They were just old furniture," Linda muttered. That broke something in me. I showed them the photos of my belongings in the yard. "I want them out of my house," I said. "Start the eviction." "No." Michael cried. I hesitated, then sighed. "I won't leave you on the street," I said. "But you will sign a lease. You will pay $700 a month in rent. You are going to repay the $25,000 in monthly payments of $600 for 4 years. If you miss even one payment, I will evict you without hesitation. $700 in rent plus $600 in debt? That's $1,300 a month," Michael exclaimed. "We can't afford that. Then Linda will have to work, just like everyone else." I was pregnant and still worked until my 8th month, cleaning floors on my knees. "So don't give me excuses." Linda stared at me with pure hatred. "You'll regret this," she hissed. "When your grandchild is born, you won't even know him. We won't let you near him. You'll die alone and bitter." Her words hurt, but they no longer had power over me. "If that's my burden to carry, then I will," I replied calmly. "But I will never again be a slave in my own house." Mr. Henderson prepared the documents immediately. Michael signed them with trembling hands. Linda refused at first, but Michael forced her to sign. When we left the office, they drove away without saying a word to me. I remained standing on the sidewalk, breathing in the cool morning air. I had won, yet I felt no triumph. I felt empty. I had reclaimed my home, but I had lost my son. And I didn't know if I would ever forgive myself for that. But the story didn't end there. 3 days later, something happened that changed everything again, and this time, it was worse than anything I had imagined. 3 days after signing the contract, I woke up in the utility room with a crushing pain in my chest. This wasn't sadness. It was physical, terrifying. It felt as if invisible hands were squeezing my heart. I tried to stand, but my legs wouldn't move. I couldn't breathe. The room spun. "Help," I whispered, but no sound came out. I tried pounding on the wall. Once. Twice. The third time, my arm fell limp. Everything went black. I woke up in a hospital bed beneath harsh fluorescent lights. A machine beeped steadily beside me. An 4 needle was stuck in my arm. "She's awake," a woman's voice said. A nurse checked my blood pressure and pulse. "How do you feel, Mrs. Emily?" "What happened?" I croaked. "You had a mild heart attack. Your neighbor found you unconscious and called an ambulance. You're very lucky to be alive." "Mrs. Higgins. My guardian angel. How long have I been here?" 8 hours. "We notified your family. 2 of your children are outside. They came from Chicago and Houston." "2 children? Michael?" I asked. The nurse hesitated. "Your son Michael was notified 7 hours ago. He hasn't come." That hurt more than the heart attack. My son lived 20 minutes away. He didn't come. Yet my other children, Jessica and David, had dropped everything to be there. "I want to see them," I said. Seconds later, they rushed in. Jessica, my middle daughter, a 38-year-old lawyer, usually calm and composed, now had red, swollen eyes. David, my youngest, an engineer like Michael but with a gentler heart, looked disheveled, as if he'd dressed in a panic. "Mom," Jessica cried, hugging me carefully. "We thought we were going to lose you." David squeezed my hand. "What happened?" "Mrs. Higgins found you passed out," they said. "Why didn't you tell us you were unwell?" "I didn't want to worry you." "Worry us?" Jessica snapped through tears. "You almost died. The doctor said it was extreme stress." "What's happening?" David asked. "Why so much stress?" And so I told them everything. The funeral. My belongings thrown outside. The utility room. The money. The furniture. Linda. Their expressions shifted from concern to disbelief, then to horror, then to fury. "What?" Jessica shouted. "Michael did that?" "I'm going to him right now," David said. "No," I stopped him weakly. "It's handled. There's a contract." Jessica immediately called Michael. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. "He's avoiding us," she said coldly. "When you're discharged, you're coming with me to Chicago," she said. "You're not staying there." "I don't live there anymore," I explained. "I rented a small apartment." "What apartment?" David asked. "The building your father left me." They stared at me. "How many secrets do you have?" David asked. "They aren't secrets. They're precautions." Jessica held my hand. "Michael has no right to treat you like that." David nodded. "A good wife doesn't make you abandon your family." The doctor entered with a grave expression. "This heart attack was caused by prolonged stress. If nothing changes, the next one could be fatal." "What does she need?" Jessica asked. "Remove stress. Medication. Therapy. And real family support." Then he asked me, "What causes you the most stress?" "My oldest son," I said quietly. "Then I recommend no contact for 3 months." For the first time, I felt free. I left the hospital 2 days later. Michael never came. No calls. No messages. I stopped waiting. A week later, I sat in my small apartment, simple, clean, peaceful. Jessica helped decorate it. For the first time in months, I felt at home. Then Mr. Henderson called. Michael made the first payment. $1300. And Linda got a job, selling perfume. I smiled faintly. Then he added, Michael wants to speak with you. I'm not ready. 2 weeks later, Michael showed up at my door. He looked ruined, thin, exhausted, hollow. I need 5 minutes, he begged. Against my better judgment, I let him in. He admitted everything. The lies. The regret. The marriage falling apart. You promised her a house that wasn't yours, I said. I know. I can't fix your marriage, Michael. He broke down. Then my memory returned to the beginning, to the moment my life split in two. When I came home from burying my sister. When I found my life thrown into the yard. When Linda smiled and said my things were useless. When she showed me the utility room. That night, I cried. But I also documented everything. And when I later opened my old notebook, I discovered the truth about the money. $25,000 gone. That was the moment I stopped being powerless. That was the moment everything truly changed. And they had no idea what was coming next. Higgins, it's me. Lucy Emily. The door opened at once. Mrs. Higgins stared at me with worry etched deep into her face. She already knew. I had only just come back from the funeral. My dear, what are you doing awake at this hour? She said softly. Come in, come in. I stepped into her small, cozy kitchen. The air was thick with the scent of rising dough, hot metal from the oven, and freshly brewed coffee. It smelled like safety. Like the home I once had. Coffee? She asked, already pouring before I could answer. I sat at her old, scarred wooden table, and that was when I finally broke. The tears came fast and uncontrollable. Lucy, I murmured, my voice trembling. I need the truth. Have you noticed anything strange going on in my house these past months? She moved closer, sitting across from me, clasping my hands in hers, hands roughened by years of honest work. My friend, she sighed, I didn't want to burden you while you were caring for your sister. But yes. I've seen things. What things? She inhaled deeply. Your daughter-in-law, Linda. She doesn't work, does she? No. Michael says he earns enough. Well, she said quietly, that girl switches cars every 2 weeks. Always a different one. Red, white, gray. And the bags she carries in, those are from expensive mall stores. The kind that cost hundreds. A chill crawled down my spine. And Michael, she continued. I see him leave before dawn and come back late at night. He looks exhausted. Thin. Like he's barely eating. Is that all? I asked. She hesitated, then lowered her voice as though confessing a crime. A few days ago, men came with a truck. They took your furniture. The antique pieces from the living room. Hand-carved wood. Your daughter-in-law was there, smiling, counting cash. The coffee slipped from my hands. The cup shattered on the floor. That furniture, God, that furniture, was my mother's inheritance. Over 70 years old. Pieces my grandmother brought from Boston when she moved here. Priceless, not for money, but for history. Linda sold it like garbage. When? I whispered. 2 weeks ago. While you were in Ohio. I went silent. Mrs. Higgins swept the broken porcelain, but her movements felt distant. In my mind, everything aligned, the missing money, the reckless spending, my clothes dumped outside, the utility room. Linda wasn't just forcing me out. She was erasing me. My memories. My existence. And my son allowed it. By dawn, I was back in the utility room, sitting on the folding bed, bank statements and notebook in my lap. And I decided. If they wanted a game, I would play too. But by my rules. Because they didn't know something critical. That house was still legally mine. Michael never completed the ownership transfer. I'd only given verbal permission. And I had documents for everything. The woman who arrived yesterday was broken. But something new was rising from the ashes. Stronger. Dangerous. By sunrise, I had a plan. At exactly 9 a.m., I knocked on Mr. Henderson's office door. I had washed myself using the patio sink. Linda had locked the bathroom to keep me from wasting hot water. I wore my black funeral dress. My hair was pulled into a tight bun. When you fight for what's yours, you must look dignified. Mr. Henderson hugged me tightly. Emily, I'm so sorry about your sister. Grace was a remarkable woman. Thank you, I said. But that's not why I'm here. I laid everything out, statements, photos, notes. As I spoke, his expression shifted from concern to shock to outrage. This is serious, he said finally. I know. Does your son know you can access those accounts? He gave me the card years ago. I never used it. Good. We reviewed the deed. He smiled, not kindly, but strategically. The house is entirely in your name. Legally, you lent it to him. You can revoke that permission at any time. Hope flickered. And the money? These transfers, he said. Were they authorized? No. Then this is misappropriation. Family fraud. I flinched. I don't want him jailed, I just want fairness. Then we regain your leverage. Passwords changed. Inventory documented. Unauthorized sales reported. Then the ultimatum, vacate in 30 days or sign a lease with rent. Rent. I whispered. Emily, he said gently, they humiliated you. They stole from you. They sold your mother's belongings. Do they deserve free housing? He was right. When I left, I carried documents, an action plan, and hope. That evening, I returned with groceries and a small grill. If I was to live as a tenant, I would do so with dignity. Voices filled the living room. Linda, dressed like a magazine model. Her parents beside her. Michael stiff and pale. Emily. Linda sans. Perfect timing. Family dinner. I tried to pass. No, she said, gripping my arm. Sit. We need to talk. They served food on my table. The trap was obvious. They spoke of misunderstandings. Of space. Of senior residences. Then the money. I changed my passwords, I said calmly. That money is for the family. Linda snapped. No. It's mine. I stood. You sold my mother's furniture. You stole $25,000. And this house silence is mine. Linda froze. Michael collapsed. You lied to me, Linda screamed. No, I said coldly. He failed to do the paperwork. Her parents fled. Michael begged. That night, he knelt before me, sobbing. I felt no pity. Only clarity. I won't leave you homeless, I said. But everything changes. He nodded desperately. Before leaving, he asked, Do you hate me, Mom? The question stopped me cold. And for the first time I understood, this war had only just begun. No, Michael, I said quietly, sadness weighing down every word. I don't hate you. But I don't recognize you anymore. The son I raised would never have done this to me. I shut the door, and for the first time in many days, I slept deeply. I slept because I knew I had won the first battle. But the war, oh, the war had only just begun. The following morning, Michael and I went together to the lawyer's office, and what took place there altered everything permanently. Michael arrived punctually at Mr. Henderson's office, but he did not arrive alone. Linda was glued to his arm, clinging to him like a parasite. She wore oversized dark sunglasses that hid most of her face and held a handkerchief as if already preparing for tears. When she noticed me seated in the waiting room, she froze. Is she coming? She whispered to Michael, loud enough that I could hear. It's her lawyer, Linda, he replied, exhaustion heavy in his voice. And her money, Linda muttered. Mr. Henderson welcomed us into his office. His expression was controlled, professional, unreadable. Good morning, Mrs. Emily. Mr. Michael. Mrs. Linda. Please, sit down. We took our seats. Linda scanned the room nervously, like an animal trapped with no clear exit. Very well, the lawyer began. I've asked you here because there are legal matters that must be formally addressed. First, we will clarify the status of the property. He placed a copy of the house deed on the desk. As you can see, the property located at 247 Jacaranda Street is registered entirely in the name of Mrs. Emily Rodriguez, widow of Salazar. 100% ownership. There is no secondary owner. Linda tore off her sunglasses in disbelief. That's impossible. Michael told me. What Michael may or may not have told you is irrelevant, Mr. Henderson interrupted sharply. Legally speaking, Mrs. Emily is the sole owner. You reside there under verbal permission, known in law as commodatum. But I'm her daughter-in-law. Linda protested, her voice rising. It's my house too. No, madam, the lawyer replied coldly. It is not. Not a single inch of that property belongs to you. I watched as Linda's face drained of color, her fingers crushing the handkerchief until her knuckles turned white. Michael spoke with a trembling voice. Is that true? My son lowered his head. Yes. And when were you planning to tell me? Linda demanded. I thought we'd finish the paperwork after the wedding, but work got busy. I don't care about your excuses. Linda screamed, jumping up. You promised me a house. Linda, please, Michael begged. Think about the baby. The baby, she snapped. The baby who's supposed to be born in a house that isn't even ours? Mr. Henderson tapped the desk gently. Please sit down. We still have other matters to discuss. Linda dropped back into her chair, breathing hard. Second, the lawyer continued, we must address the unauthorized withdrawals from Mrs. Emily's bank accounts. He laid the bank statements on the desk. In the past 8 months, a total of $25,000 has been withdrawn. Mrs. Emily never authorized these transactions. I didn't take that money, Michael said immediately. The withdrawals were made using a card registered in your name, Mr. Henderson said. That makes you legally responsible. But Linda used it, Michael blurted. I lent it to her because she said she needed, for what? Linda snapped. Now you're blaming me? You bought the furniture. You planned the Cancun trip. You spent $3,000 on clothes. You told me your mother gave you that money. I said she lent it to us, not gave it to you. Watching them argue brought me no satisfaction. Only sorrow. Enough, I said firmly. They both went silent. I don't care who spent the money. You are both responsible, and every dollar will be returned. Mom, we don't have $25,000, Michael said desperately. My salary barely, then you'll repay it in installments with interest. The lawyer will draw up a payment plan. Interest. Linda laughed hysterically. You're charging interest to your own son? I'm charging interest to whoever stole my retirement money, I replied, my voice breaking. Money I earned scrubbing bathrooms and offices for 40 years. Money meant for my medical care. And you wasted it on trips and clothes.